Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am excited about this video here. We're going to do the Miami all-time great starting five basketball history here. I've got Justin Heller, played for the Hurricanes, big fan before and after going to games, and Steve Wine, who covered the team for a long time. What's going on, guys?
Hey, Chris, how are you?
What's going on, Chris? Excited to do this.
Yeah, I was telling both of you, felt like I put in a lot of research into this, try to get some names. All we're doing is trying to get the best starting five. If they played at Miami, we'll do a snake draft. We'll start with Justin, go to Steve, and then back to me. We'll swing it back around. Before we get started, though, Justin, one of the things I want to bring you on for is just because your unique background. You played on the team, played with some great players. What's your maybe biggest memory of that 2013 team? Wins the ACC, arguably, or we could just say the best team in school history. What kind of stands out to you the most when you think back on that season?
Yeah, it's a tough question. There were so many incredible memories that I have from that season. If I had to pick one, I would have to just say the ACC tournament, going to Greensboro, going through NC State, and then seeing North Carolina in the final three times. We were able to beat them, and doing it in front of all the opposing fans, confetti raining down. It was truly, truly a memory I'll never forget.
Justin, tell us about your experience as a walk-on. What went into your decision to pursue that route? How did it work out for you? And is it something you'd recommend?
Definitely, yeah. It was honestly one of the best experiences of my life. So starting as a walk-on the team my freshman year, it was intimidating. It was a big time commitment. I actually didn't really love it that much my first year under Coach Frank Haith, but when he left, Coach L came in. He really welcomed everybody, and it really, really felt like the family environment I wanted to be a part of. So I decided let's continue with this, and it was truly special from that point on. And then my senior year, I was given a athletic scholarship, so that was kind of a nice reward for all the time and effort I put in. But I would totally recommend it to anybody. I mean, I made some lifelong friendships, have some memories I'll never forget, and I'll always have that special connection to basketball now. Whenever I go to the games or see guys on the team, something I would highly recommend to someone that has the opportunity.
Justin, you said lifelong friendships. We're going to put that to the test right here with this draft here. You got the first overall pick. I said to you, I'm really curious what you're going to do here. It's very interesting. And so let's start it off. Your first pick of this draft here.
Let's do it. So I think that just for a regular fan, Rick Barry would be probably the first overall pick, top 50, top 75 NBA player of all time, and all the different accolades. But as you said, we're going to put some friendships to the test. So I'm going to go with one of my best friends, who I also think is arguably one of the best in history, Shane Larkin, with my number one pick.
I figured you're going to go that route. You can't go wrong. You got a good Shane memory, Justin. Just him as a player, or even just the way he played that second season after his first year.
Yeah, he was incredible, especially being on the team. It was crazy to just see from his freshman year where he was okay until that sophomore season when he turned it on. I think he was the best player in the country. He got National Player of the Year, the Lute Olson Award, and basically got the whole team to buy in. And guys like Durant Scott were willing to take a back seat to let Shane be that star. And Shane brought everyone together, and the rest was history. It was awesome.
Yeah, you can't go wrong there. Becomes a first-round pick. ACC player, you touch on All-American, Player of the Year, also tournament MVP, just all the accolades. And like you said, his increase. Everybody else kind of statistically was similar for the most part the year before, but Shane certainly elevated his game. Steve, who you got at number two here?
Boy, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't expecting to go that way. I really thought the number two pick was going to be difficult, and Shane might have been my guy in that slot. He was taken 18th overall in the 2013 draft by the Atlanta Hawks. Only one Hurricane has ever been drafted higher, and I'm going to take that player, Rick Barry. 8 times. A Miami Hurricane has scored 50 points in a game, and Rick Barry was that guy every time.
Wow.
Just an incredible score. He is 794 games. I did my homework here, Chris. 794 games in the NBA. That is the school record. Just one of the great scorers in NBA history, and certainly also at Miami. And sometimes I think one thing gets overlooked with Barry is what a great rebounder he was. He had the 2 best rebounding seasons in school history. And he had a game where he had 29 rebounds. He also happened to score 51 in that game. So he was he's one of the great players in the history of basketball. So in this case, he is number 2. So I will take him with the second pick.
Well, Michael Jordan slid in the draft there too. So
that's right.
Things happen. But yeah,
I love Shane Larkin. Shane Larkin,
absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you couldn't go wrong there. And Rick's final year, 37 points a game, just incredible. And you touched on the rebounding numbers. So I've got 3 and 4. I figured it was going to go like this. I thought it was going to go Shane and Rick. So I was able to do some planning. I feel really good about 3-4 on the swing. However, I don't know what's going to come back to me. That's where I'm lost. So I'll start with number 3 pick. I'm going Jack McClinton. I remember a couple years ago, Jimmy Butler was in the opposing locker room. I was covering a Heat game. Jimmy, I think, was playing for Minnesota at the time, and kind of overheard a conversation I had with another guy about Miami's best all-time player. He kind of like overheard, we weren't talking to him. He's like, "Oh, Jack McClinton." And I was like, "Well, no, it's Rick Barry," and he just knew Jack McClinton. Everyone did. It's crazy. I feel like if we're putting together a 5, I'm going to have the entourage, because Jack just seemed to know everybody. 44% from 3. We need 3-point shooting, I feel like, for my squad here. I feel good about Jack. And then I'm gonna pair him up. And this is where I feel good. I'm gonna go Tim James, first round pick by the Miami Heat, had to represent. I almost wore a Warriors shirt today, but I knew I wasn't gonna get Rick Barry. So Tim James, inside out, athletic, could kind of do it all. I like him at the 4th spot. Again, I'm going inside outside. Just a really impressive player, a guy that also, like Rick Barry, had his jersey retired, number 40. Goes on to be a first-round pick. Miami's only had 5 first-round picks in school history, and we've already named 3 of them. So really impressive. And Steve, it's back to you here. I feel good. I'd like to put some holds on some guys, because there's guys I want to build my squad with, but we'll see what you guys have to do here.
Tim James is the only Hurricane who was ever named Conference Player of the Year. That was in the Big East in 1999 when he led the Hurricanes in scoring, rebounds, and blocks. A really, really good, just an all-around player. Just brought so much to the table.
A local guy too, yeah. From here too.
Right, absolutely. I'm going to go. I'm going to let the NBA resume influence me here a little bit. Here, I'm going to go with John Salmons, who had a terrific NBA career. He's second only Barry in NBA games played among Hurricanes. He's 3rd on the career list in assists and steals. He was a first-round pick. Only 4 Hurricanes have gone higher in the draft than him. And I guess maybe his most memorable season as a sophomore. He was instrumental. The 99-2000 team that went to the Sweet 16 and won 23 games. And good defensive player, distributor, and so I'll go with him.
Some great picks right there. I'm a little salty. I was hoping maybe I could snag Jack McClinton as the draft comes back around.
Yeah. I thought about it. There were other guys I was looking at, but I went with Jack, but we're gonna have to build off of it for sure. So yeah. So here we go. Pick 6 for
as
Justin.
I was starting to become a Miami basketball fan, Jack was the man, and it was cool to come there after him and still be able to build that friendship. So big Jack McClinton fan. But since he's off the board, I'm going to go with what I feel is probably an obvious pick right now. I'm going to go James Jones. Again, more the NBA career, 14-year NBA guy, 3-time champion, and currently the GM of the Phoenix Suns, where he just got Executive of the Year after putting together that great team from last season. So I'm going to go James Jones as my next pick. And now is where I think it gets a little interesting. So
we're testing friendships here with you, Justin.
Yeah, so we've got Shane Larkin at the point guard. I'm going to put James Jones at the 2. That way I can go bold pick here, but I'm going to go Lonnie Walker as my small forward. I know he only had 1 year at Miami. So I understand that might not have shown enough, but already off to a great NBA career. And I think he's going to be in the NBA for a while and put together a nice career.
Pretty good 7 picks here. I think everybody's doing good. I'm not feeling good at 9 here. I felt like I was hoping some guys would slip, but we'll see if Steve makes an incorrect decision here.
I'm going to go back to my early days covering the Hurricanes and take Eric Brown, who was on the first team when the program came out of its 14-year hiatus. He is actually second on the school career scoring list, 7th in rebounds. Number 1 in shooting at 54%, just an incredibly efficient player. I was going back through the book. He had games where he was 15 for 16 and 12 for 13. And played a lot for 4 seasons, averaged 19 points for his career. So Eric Brown's my choice.
Yeah, see, that's the one I was hoping would slip. But you're on top of it. I like it. Again, Eric, certainly big, and certainly with the resurrection. Steve, I want to ask you, but just the resurrection of the program, he was certainly big-time guy, second in scoring all time there, over 2,200 points. The games some of these guys played in, the arenas, Justin obviously got an opportunity at the Watsco Center, called differently, but it wasn't always this good at Miami. Steve, what do you remember about some of the places Miami played at?
Well, I came down here in '87 and they were playing at the Knight Center in the Hyatt Hotel, which was a performance venue. My wife and I saw concerts there. Sting played there, I remember. And, people like that. It seated about 5,000 people. What was unusual about it is all the seats were on one side because it was set up for, musical performances. And the basketball court was on top of the stage. And then on the other side from the fans was a big, just this enormous black curtain. So it was a very strange atmosphere. It wasn't bad. The seats were good. The atmosphere was a little odd, but that's how that's where they played to get the program going again. And they were there until they swung a deal to move into the Heat's original arena, the arena that was built downtown when the Heat started out in the very late 80s and played there until they moved on campus.
Yeah, it's crazy. And another thing I remember, the women's team, the first 3 years of its existence in the 70s were playing games outside. Rumor is they had at least 1 game rained out, which is just crazy to me, but that they didn't have an indoor facility to play in real games. It's nuts. I've seen some of the pictures. It's crazy. So Miami basketball has come a long way. The resurgence of the program that go no program for 15 years, which was crazy to think about. Just that era that they didn't have one. Like I said, the women's team was playing. So, and the football team was winning national titles, won that national title without basketball team on campus. I'm asking questions to stall it too. I'm not lying. I've got some tough decisions to round out my team. I'm looking at your guys' team. I was hoping some things would fall. I'm going to go with the guy that's going to finally have his induction in the Hall of Fame this year. He was announced a couple years ago, but during the pandemic wasn't able to have his ceremony, and that's Johnny Hemsley. Kind of an unknown guy, but he played in the late 90s, guy that scored a bunch of points, over 18 his final year. I'm kind of pairing him with Tim James. He has that connection. There's a lot of good wing guards that have played through Miami, either into the NBA. Some of these guys have been drafted already in our draft here, but Johnny was a guy that didn't have that next level career in the NBA like that, but really good college player, 6'5", could kind of do different things. I'm going to go ahead and put him in the mix as my 3-man there. But once again, I was hoping one of these other guys would slide, but I like Hemsley there. And so I got McClinton, James, and Hemsley on my squad. Also, shout out to Rudy. I know he was a Hemsley fan, so shout out to him real quick there. It's interesting. I'm picking 4 here. I've got to get a point guard. I've got to have a guy. If I'm going against Shane Larkin, I've got to be able to contend with him. I don't know what Steve's going to do at the point guard spot. I'm going to go with Duran Scott, though. He played a little point guard, played off ball, like Justin mentioned, but his defensive ability, I want a guy that can be able to defend. I feel like I need that. He's 6'5", good scorer. Can kind of knock down threes, kind of do it all. I like do it all type guys. Certainly, maybe not the all around performance that Salmon's had at Miami, but I like him there. I feel like we're fitting together a nice 5 here. I'm happy with it so far here. So Steve, you're up with your 4th pick, 11th overall here.
Picked Eric Brown before, who played on the first team when the program came back from its hiatus. So I'm going to take a guy who played on the last team before they shut down the program, Don Kernut, who was a second-team All-American in 1970. His 3 years with the Canes, he averaged 23, 28, and 28 points a game, 45% shooter. He was a 6'3" guard, and he led the Hurricanes in scoring all 3 times. He's 3rd on the career points list. So I'm not sure how much he's going to get the ball on my team with Rick Barry, but they can fight over, and that'll be fun to watch.
That's good. I figured you're going to take him. It's certainly a great player. The numbers again, 28.27 his last 2, 27, 28 on his Hall of Fame bio. They call him the greatest shooting guard in school history. So certainly a very good player. There's no doubt about it. Justin, we're wrapping it up here with your team here. You got to round out your 5 on the swing back, 12, 13, 4th, 5th rounds. What do you think here?
Yeah, this is gonna be tough. I noticed as I was looking through the history, the big men is where we don't have as much talent as the guard play. So I've got my power forward and center saved for last. But before I get into that, gotta of course go back to Duran Scott, one of my all-time favorites and most underrated players. So he was there my first 3 years, like you said. Does a little bit of everything, sometimes not recognized for it, but that's an amazing pick. Big Duran Scott fan. So back to my team, we've got Shane Larkin at the point, James Jones and Lonnie Walker at the 2-3. They're interchangeable. I am going to go at the center position. This is another player that I watched prior to going to really liked, and then as I was playing at got to know as a friend as well, was Dwayne Collins. So I'm going to go a little undersized here, put him at the 5, but he had a hell of a career at so definitely need that toughness inside.
Yeah, the athleticism, especially because I got Tim James. You're trying to match it there. I see what you're doing there with my interior guy. Yeah, there's no doubt the interior guys at Miami, it's a little bit different, and kind of there's not as many as those guys as the wing players for certain.
Yeah, absolutely. So now this is getting even harder here for my power forward. Got a few guys here that I'm thinking about. I guess I'm going to let a little bit of my bias kick in, and I'll have to go with Kenny Kaji at the 4. Stretch 4. My years at was unstoppable from the outside and as well as in the post too. Didn't quite hang on in the NBA, which was surprising to me. I thought he was going to be in the NBA for a long time, but I'm going to go Kenny Kaji at the 4 to round out my starting 5.
That's good. We'll get a full recap of your 5 here once we wrap up and see what you think. But Steve, your final pick here, looking like a real professional draft. I'm looking at it right here. This is looking scary for both of us, but how are you going to round this off here?
I need to make a correction. Don Kernut was not on the last team before the shutdown, but this guy was Willie Allen, and I'm going to go with him because I need a little more size. And he's going to him and Barry on the boards will be awesome to see. Willie played from 1968 to 71, the first African-American player in Hurricanes basketball history. In 3 seasons, he averaged 17 points and 12 rebounds, and he still ranks second to Rick Barry in career rebounds. So with the two of them, I think we'll be pretty strong inside. A lot of great Hurricane perimeter players over the years. Inside, not quite as much depth, but the ones that are there are really good. And I think Allen is kind of an overlooked guy in Hurricanes history.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to go that route there. And there are some interesting, we touched on Collins and Kaji there and kind of the big guys. I got James. I got to go center. You know, I got my point guard, my wings here with McClinton, Hemsley, Scott, James. Um, you know what, Steve? I thought you were going to go a different route. I'm debating here. I'm not going to lie. I'm having a tough time on my centers like you guys probably did. Kind of some guys I'm thinking about. Steve, I thought you were going to go Tito Horford right here.
Yeah. He was in the mix.
He was in the mix. That doesn't surprise me.
A couple of good old timers on the list still too.
Mike McCoy, center 7'1", a guy that did well a long time ago. There's a Hall of Famer here, that Dick Hickox. You know, if I was, but not a big guy, but certainly filled it up at the point guard spot. I thought about him. You know,
don't forget Cy Chadroff, the best Hurricane to play in glasses, probably. Early 1950s.
I'm glad you're bringing that. I'm glad you're bringing that stuff to the table. That these are did not know that. You got another guy with glasses.
I got all the new guys. You two are going back before my time.
Well, Steve's got a bunch of guys.
Not a lot of film on these guys. That makes it hard.
Right.
Yeah, I was trying to track down film on even Rick Barry, just to get a couple, clips. If has some of that, I would like to put that out there. So even a guy like him, it's hard to find film played in the 60s. Not a lot here. Once again, I feel like my stall tactics are doing well here. My center, Tito Horford, Konstantin Popa, Joe Wiley. These are names that I'm considering here. I know Steve's you probably have an idea on who the best one here is. I like all these guys. Man, okay, so second round, Horford and Popo were both second round picks. I'm having a hard time here deciding between the two of them. Steve, you got a. Can I ask? Phone a friend. Do you have one?
What about Tony? What about Tony Jacquieri?
That's
yeah. I feel like he's certainly up there too.
He'd be in the mix too. Yeah.
Defensive guy, rebounds. That's what I'm looking
for. Tough call, Chris. That's why they pay you the big bucks here.
Yeah. We're gonna wrap it up here. You know what? I'll go with Popa here. 7'3", defensive guy. I feel like I need a guy that can defend, rebound. He can make free throws, things like that. I feel good about this, rounding out my solid five here. But yeah, I'm going to go with him. Became a second round pick, Hall of Famer as well. So I'll give him the edge. I need just guys to kind of fill it. We got this all around team where we tried to balance here. Okay. 5 overview. We'll start with Justin. Tell me about your squad here. What do you think of it here?
I really like the way my squad came together here. We got a nice balanced team, which a couple surprises. I thought Bruce Brown would get picked early, so I saved my big men for last. But we got Shane Larkin at the point, still a pass first guy, but can get a bucket whenever you need it. We got James Jones on the perimeter, nice 3-and-D guy. Lonnie Walker, another guy that can get to the rim and get you a bucket when you need it. And then with the bigs, we got Dwayne Collins as the center, bringing you some toughness inside, a little undersized, but a force to be reckoned with down there. And then at the 4, Kenny Kaji, a stretch 4, stretch the floor, hit some threes. And I really like the balance we got on this 5 right here.
Yeah, looks good. Just real quick on Lonnie, I went and saw him play in high school, and it was some sort of district champion, some regional, something like that there in Reading, Pennsylvania. Lights go out in the arena. It's probably 5,000 to 10,000 people there. Lights go out, electricity. I mean, we're sitting in the dark for a good 2 hours in the middle of the game before they got started again. And Lonnie actually didn't play well. I think he went 1 for 10, just not a good performance. And he was certainly highly touted, but sometimes, I mean, even making the trip up there, going to games, and the thing with sports, you don't get to write the story before you go, just whatever happens. But definitely remember the electricity going out. And
heard about that.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, but it was cool, man. It was cool hearing about him, how popular he was, and then going to see that in that era or in that area, signing autographs with kids after the games. It was really cool to see at that high school level just how they embraced him, and certainly have done so since that area area there for him as he continues his NBA career. Steve, you're 5. You know, it looks good to me. How do you feel about it?
I don't see this team losing any games. We've got 2 guys who can score. We got 3 rebounders. We've got a distributor. We've even got a couple of guys who like to play defense. So this is a very impressive. We just need a coach. So I'm going to give Larinaga a call and see if he's got any spare time, and he can whip these guys into shape.
Well, I think Justin has Larinaga locked up. I think that call is like, I don't think he has to think much about that. I'm curious what you would do with the second and third coach, and it'd be interesting to see who's going to coach these squads. Yeah,
give Coach Caputo a call.
There you go. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah. So yeah, just kind of round up my team again, starting kind of inside out with McClinton and James. I feel good about that. I feel like the combination would present a lot of challenges there. Tim James, I felt like a value pick, certainly a good player at Miami, but we've touched on kind of the interior guys at UM. I feel like he stacks up as clearly the best inside guy Miami's had, although there's been some other ones, you know, and then kind of rounded out with Hemsley and Scott, kind of some defensive guys who could score, and then Popa as well. So we got some defensive guys a little bit, but I like it. I like that we've got a variety of guys. We don't need to. We've got some 3 scorers and then a couple of defensive guys, but all around team is kind of what I was going for. It's interesting to see you touched on Bruce Brown, just other guys. You know, Hickok's a guy that's had his number honored at Miami. These guys, there's other good players that didn't get picked, you know, Hall of Famers, school Hall of Famers, guys that played in the NBA as well. So it's interesting. It's interesting kind of putting this together, but I'll let you guys get going. Appreciate you taking the time to do this. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it. So we'll let you guys get going, man. See you, Justin. See you, Steve.
Thanks, guys. Really enjoyed that.
Thank you, guys. Go Canes.
Go Canes.